All right, Falcons fans, big news is coming your way today, and you're definitely going to want to stick around for this one. We're talking about a potential game-changing move that could completely shake up the defense and also help the team with its salary cap before free agency kicks off. But before we dive into the details, make sure to hit that like button so you don't miss any updates about the Atlanta Falcons. So here's what's happening. NFL analysts have been speculating on ways the Falcons could free up some much-needed cap space, and now Bleacher Report's Mamoon has dropped a bold trade proposal. The big idea? Sending Grady Jarrett, one of the Falcons' most respected defensive leaders, to the Arizona Cardinals. Yes, you heard that right. A player who's been a staple of this defense for years might be on the move. The reason for this is simple. The Falcons are currently over the salary cap by about $5.3 million. This means some tough decisions are coming up, especially as free agency looms. Grady Jarrett, though a cornerstone of this defense for almost a decade, has a hefty contract that's making it hard for the team to create financial flexibility. If the Falcons were to trade him, they would instantly free up $16.3 million in cap space, money that could be used to sign key players at positions of need. Now, even though Jarrett will be turning 32 in April, he's still a powerhouse on the field. Last season, he played in every game, finishing with 53 tackles, 9 tackles for loss, 18 pressures, and 2.5 sacks. His numbers might not blow you away, but his impact goes way beyond the stats. He's a leader, a 2-time Pro Bowler, and one of the most respected players in the locker room. That's why, if the Falcons do decide to trade him, it wouldn't be an easy decision. Grady has been with the Falcons since 2015 when Atlanta snagged him in the 5th round of the draft. Since then, he's been a consistent workhorse for the franchise, earning Pro Bowl honors in 2019 and 2020, and even a second-team All-Pro nod in 2019. But here's the reality. His production has dipped a bit, and with a cap hit over $20 million, it's tough to see how the Falcons can keep him at that price. If the Falcons do trade Jarrett, the Arizona Cardinals could be a great destination. Arizona has struggled on defense, finishing near the bottom of the league in rushing yards allowed and failing to create consistent pressure on quarterbacks. Mamoon argues that Jarrett could help the Cardinals shore up their defensive line and open up pass-rushing opportunities for their linebackers. Plus, if the Falcons can get a decent draft pick in return, it would be a win-win situation for them. What do you think, Falcons fans? Would you support this bold move? Let us know in the comments. Now, if you're wondering whether the Falcons should just release Grady Jarrett instead of trading him, the financial impact would be the same. Whether they trade him or cut him, they'd still save that $16.25 million in cap space. The real question is whether another team would be willing to give up assets for a player who's entering the final year of his contract. It's worth noting that the Falcons and Cardinals have a recent history of making trades. Last offseason, Terry Fontenot sent Desmond Ridder to Arizona in exchange for wide receiver Rondale Moore. Could these two teams work out another deal? It's definitely a possibility. Of course, none of this is set in stone. The Falcons could choose to keep Jarrett for one more season, restructure his contract, or go in a completely different direction. But with Atlanta near the bottom of the league in cap space heading into free agency, something has to change. And if that something turns out to be trading Grady Jarrett, it would mark the end of an incredible era for one of the most respected Falcons of the past decade. So, now it's your turn, Falcons fans. What do you think? Should the team pull the trigger on a trade to free up that cap space, or should they find a way to keep Jarrett around for another season? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Now, let's talk about Kirk Cousins. He and the Falcons have been at the center of trade rumors all offseason. Since the season ended, we've heard conflicting reports about what's next for both sides. But as free agency approaches, things are starting to come into focus, and it looks like the Falcons are playing this situation to their advantage in a way that could actually work for them. The biggest challenge? Cousins' massive contract. The Falcons don't want to release him outright, but trading him with his current salary is nearly impossible. So, what's the plan? Convincing Cousins to take a pay cut. How do they do that? By making him believe that taking a pay cut is the only way he's going to get out of Atlanta. Here's the strategy. The Falcons know they need to move Cousins, but they also know that no team is eager to take on one of the worst contracts in NFL history. Their best bet is to make the trade more attractive by reducing the financial burden for any potential trade partner. But getting Cousins to agree to that, that's not going to be easy. That's why the Falcons are playing the waiting game, applying pressure, and letting the market play out before making their move. The only risk with this strategy is waiting too long. If teams fill their quarterback needs through free agency, trades, or the draft, the Falcons might find themselves stuck with Cousins. We already saw the Raiders go after Geno Smith instead of Cousins.
Las Vegas showed interest in him, but Atlanta quickly shut that down. This move sent Geno to the desert, but it also opened up a spot in Seattle, and that's where things get exciting. Seattle's offensive coordinator, Clint Kubiak, has worked with Cousins before in Minnesota. This connection could make the Seahawks a strong candidate to trade for a veteran quarterback while they look for a long-term solution. However, there's a twist. Seattle might want to wait and see if the Falcons release Cousins instead of giving up valuable assets in a trade. After all, why pay for something you might get for free? This brings us to Cousins' recent meeting with Falcons owner Arthur Blank. Reports from Albert Breer and Tom Pelissero say that Cousins met with Blank to talk about his future. This meeting tells us a couple of important things. First, Cousins is searching for answers about where he stands. Second, the fact that he went straight to the owner instead of talking to GM Terry Fontenot and head coach Raheem Morris suggests there might be some tension behind the scenes. It makes sense. The Falcons are trying to move him, and he knows it. But at the same time, he wants to have a say in where he ends up. A key date to remember is March 17th. That's when Cousins is due a $10 million roster bonus. While this bonus won't affect the team's budget until 2026, the Falcons would prefer to avoid it. If they trade him before that date, they can avoid the bonus. But if they cut him, the dead cap hit jumps from $25 million to $35 million, which isn't great. The Falcons are eager to get a deal done before March 17th, but if that doesn't happen, they might wait until summer to see if a team in need of a quarterback gets desperate. The Falcons have made it clear they don't want to release Cousins. They want to trade him and are trying to make that happen. But will it work? That depends on whether Cousins is willing to cooperate. If he refuses to take a pay cut, the Falcons could be in a tough spot. If he agrees, they might actually get something in return for him. So, Falcons fans, we want to hear from you. Do you think the team's strategy will pay off, or are they setting themselves up for failure? Should they just cut Cousins and move on, or keep playing the long game to try and get something back? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for all the latest Falcons updates. Go Falcons!